Camera's up.
Can't do nothing about it.
Is what it is. I have too many browsers open to get that fixed.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And off we go on a Sunday. Welcome in. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast for the week begins right now. We're starting your week off here. Monster Cast Sunday. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Car Firearms Group studios lit up. The on-air sign is flashing out there for anybody driving by. They can see it. Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone and Patriot Mobile Ranch and CZ microphone, let me put it that way, all ready to rock and roll for you on hundreds of radio stations across the nation. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Here we are, Sunday Gun Day.
Yeah, Sunday Gun Day. So we are on all of our platforms today. That would be facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Please like us over there. If you're watching us, follow us. Would you please help us get back up to 100,000? We would appreciate it. Greg, I'll let you do your thing, and then we will get cracking up before we go to our first guest, Mr. Gottlieb. I'll give you the lineup, and then we'll go to Alan and get the show going.
Yep, sure, absolutely. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, that'll do it. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a dynamite lineup for you today. Mr. Gottlieb is here with us. He returns. AWR Hawkins returns in the bottom half of this hour. And we have, what's our special guest, Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets over on YouTube sensation. We've got him for the hour, and we're going to take a really deep dive into the Connecticut case with him and the cert petition. And I think you'll find the hour fascinating. I think you'll really enjoy it. Followed, of course, by a classic Armed American Radio roundtable. Parkland father Ryan Petty, Car Firearms Group CEO Justin Moon, and, of course, combat vet and founder of Lead Slingers Whiskey, Brad Premo, will be here. Let's get going with Mr. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Radio show number 2 for you, Mr. Gottlieb. Welcome in, my friend. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Mark. I just got off with your Salem affiliate in KRLA in Los Angeles on their Global Freedom Show, which is syndicated as well. So it's been a busy night for me.
Well, it's funny because when Greg can read you pretty well. It's not our first rodeo. He said, Alan sounds chipper and ready to rock and roll. And I said, I think he's got a slight cold. He says, well, he's taking something fun because it's working for him, Alan. So there you go. You feeling good?
I'm drinking Gold Peak unsweetened iced tea to keep my throat open.
Well, there you go. I'd drink that stuff too, but I throw maybe a little sweetener in there. I just can't do the sugar. Alan, let's get cracking. We have a lot to talk about, and I want to go into the Connecticut case with you, but we'll get there. I want to save the best for last. Let's start with some of the press releases from the Second Amendment Foundation this week. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, going back to November 14th, just 2 days ago, SAF files motion for summary judgment in second NFA case. So let me give you a quick background, because the Second Amendment Foundation and its partners have filed a motion for summary judgment in the second of the organization's two lawsuits challenging the constitutionality of the NFA, otherwise known as the National Firearms Act, or I should say the National Firearms Act, otherwise known as the NFA. Until President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the NFA established a $200 tax registration regime on certain classes of firearms, including silencers, short-barreled rifles, also known as SBRs, and short-barreled shotguns, and quote-unquote AOWs, which refers to any other weapons, drawing from congressional authority to level taxes. After that beautiful bill, the $200 tax on those arms, SAF and its partners filed a suit challenging the remaining registration requirements because without the tax, Congress's reliance on their taxing power is no longer justifiable. Alan, this is the second time. The second motion for summary judgment. Where are we on this? And I would like to know your thoughts. I get a lot of email on this. Where are we with NFA?
Well, we're in court, and I just want to say in this second challenge case, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms has also done a partner with the Second Amendment Foundation, so we're doing it jointly as well. And we're looking at slightly different reasons on the lawsuits. So in two different jurisdictions, as well as the issues engaged in it, and we're hoping to get one or both of these, consolidated before the U.S. Supreme Court eventually here, and win and knock out the whole registration system. Because again, if there is no, I guess historically for your listeners, the NFA regulations were upheld by court many years ago on the grounds that it was really taxation and not regulation. Well, if now the taxation part of it is gone because the tax went to zero, well, and it's not. You've already ruled it's not it wasn't really a regulation because that wouldn't be appropriate under the Second Amendment. We need to knock out the whole NFA now because now the four legs of the stool have been cut off. And so we're hoping the courts will grant us this and give us some freedom back.
Now, a question that comes to mind from a lot of people is, what does that mean relative to machine guns, which is also part of the NFA? What happens to that if we're successful here? Because we've not sought any relief on machine guns here. I want to make that very clear, ladies and gentlemen. So how does that work, Alan?
Well, machine gun part, destructive devices part, those parts would stay because we didn't challenge that. Mm-hmm. And we're doing that. We did this on purpose because it's a surgical strike to take out what we know we can win definitely on, and then we'll worry about the rest of it depending on what the Supreme Court verbiage is in their ruling. But we wanted to take a quick strike and knock out that part of it that deals with the silencers and short barrel rifles. And go with that when we know we're pretty sure we're going to win. And so we stayed with that for now. The rest of it, unfortunately, stays. But, it'd be subject to a future attack depending on how the court rules on these cases.
Alan, if we challenge the machine gun ban as well, and there's a method to my madness here, because a lot of people want to know why we're not doing everything all at one time. And I understand that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is called being pragmatic, okay? And I think you just hit it, Alan, when you said what we know we can win right now, that surgical strike. So it is one step at a time, correct? Would we have a chance if we did it all at one time?
It would make it more difficult for us, and we don't want to take the risk. We have a Supreme Court ruling that talks about the Second Amendment protecting commonly owned firearms. Mm-hmm. You can make an argument that machine guns are not commonly owned, and we don't want to fall on that problem right now. So we're taking the attack on what is commonly owned.
So in other words, it would be just a bigger challenge for us, and we're going to take that just one hill at a time, right? We'll go to big top, we'll go to big round top after we go to little round top, right? That's the way we'll do it, one step at a time.
Yeah, but I don't want to really talk about our strategies when I know our opponents are also listening.
Okay, sounds fair enough to me. We will move on. Let's go to Vermont now. Because we don't really think about Vermont that much anymore. We think about Vermont. I'm old enough, Alan, and obviously you are, and I am, to remember Vermont-style carry, right? Where that was what has later become coined the term constitutional carry. But Vermont has never had a permitting scheme in process. And Vermont, for the most part, has been very gun-friendly up until over the last few years. There have been some gun control moves made out of Burlington because of some crime in and around Burlington, I should say. But SAF and our partners just filed an amicus in appeal challenging Vermont's firearm purchase waiting periods. And Vermont is one of those states we just don't seem to talk a lot about. And maybe we haven't had enough reason to, but we do now, because this is the case, Vermont Fed of Sportsmen's Clubs versus Birmingham, a case challenging Vermont's 72-hour waiting period for firearm purchases. SAF is, of course, being joined in the amicus by the California Rifle and Pistol Second Amendment Law Center, Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, and National Rifle Association, which is good to see. So I have a follow-up question for you on this, but we don't really talk about Vermont a lot. 72-hour waiting period. How do you feel?
Well, waiting period is always harder to get rid of, but now after the Bruin decision by the U.S. Supreme Court, mm-hmm. I think we have a much better shot at it. To me and you and your listeners, a right delayed is a right denied. And if you're already going through a background check to buy a firearm to begin with, why do you need to have a waiting period? There absolutely is no logic to it. But under the Bruin decision with text and history, you can't show that anything in the Second Amendment says that a waiting period is not an infringement. And you can't show anything historically that there was at the time of the incorporation or the Second Amendment being ratified that there was any waiting period there as well. And so we think we have a good shot at it. And I think it's an overreach by the state of Vermont, and I'm hoping we get to justice for gun owners.
Yeah, and this case, ladies and gentlemen, is in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit right now. And Alan, you are absolutely right about that. I can only name one group of people that waiting periods do not affect, Alan, and that's criminals. They only affect law-abiding citizens.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, they're the only group of people that waiting periods do not. Now, you're going to hear that as I move through the show today, ladies and gentlemen. That the reason I said it now is as we're getting ready to take a break, I'll just throw this out just to let you know. You will hear me say that throughout today's program, particularly when we're talking about what we talk about with Jared Yanis, when we take a real deep dive, literally getting into the weeds on the Connecticut case. And we will go there with Alan as well to get his point of view on this, because this case, this could be the one we're looking for.
20?
Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. We've got just one more segment with Mr. Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Stay with us. We have a lot to cover quickly. We'll be right back. By the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom here in the Car Firearms Group studios in front of this very powerful CZ Platinum microphone that is busting out on hundreds of radio stations and, golly, another 177 digital cable and satellite and all that stuff. Great to be with you today on this CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. And as you know, it's brought to you every single day, 6 days a week by the National Rifle Association. Won't you please help us? You heard when me and Alan were talking in the previous segment, NRA joining SAF in filing these briefs and in motions for summary judgment. NRA is back, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely back, and we need your support to keep it that way. It is critical, absolutely critical, that you get off your duffs. We really need you in this fight. The left will never stop, and you will hear that throughout the broadcast today, I can promise you. We make it simple for you. We're going to give you the range bag for a 1 and 3 year membership, the binoculars for the 5-year and life membership, and save you $10, $15, $25, and $500 in order like that from 1 to life membership. Please take advantage of it. It's real simple to do. NRA.org/AAR. And you can find them and all the links to that and all of our other great partners and sponsors at armedamericanradio.com. Mr. Gottlieb, welcome back to the program, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Sure is.
All right, so let's go. We talked about Vermont. Let's move away from Vermont. Because I don't want to run out of time with you and it gets away from us, I do want to talk about the Connecticut case. Well, let me do this first. Let me set this up. This is the way I was going to go with this, because this is a post-Bruin environment that we're in, obviously. And cases like what we're seeing in Vermont, et cetera, if it had not been for Bruin, would we be challenging Vermont firearm purchase waiting period? You know, because we've got, 6 cases now, 4 already this week coming up, seeking cert on conference schedule on calendar, and another 2 lining up. I mean, this is like a cornucopia for us. This is a beautiful thing. Would we have even been challenging these cases in a post-Bruin environment, or did that just open the floodgates for us?
Well, let me address this 2 ways. What really opened the floodgates to for everything was when we won McDonald versus Chicago, which incorporated the Second Amendment through the 14th Amendment, making it applicable to all the states and cities.
Right.
That's what really opened the floodgate to begin with. That opened the floodgate so that the Bruin decision could be filed and won. And then the Supreme Court making the Bruin ruling opened the door more for us with saying that, you have to look at the original history and text of the Second Amendment, and if it's not in compliance with that, the gun control laws can't stand. Changing the method the courts use to view these cases and moving it further away from a rational basis, where you have competing government interests versus private interests. So that was all important. I can't say the case wouldn't have been filed anyway, but our chances of winning it now is over time getting into the Supreme Court is much greater.
All right, so obviously, ladies and gentlemen, post-Bruin environment is a huge plus for us. And Alan, I know I can't ask you to get in the heads of the anti-gunners, but what is unfolding with all of these cases has got to be one of their worst nightmares come true, sir. It has to be, because after the Bruin decision, they went bonkers, as they usually do, but more so than normal. And this is why, isn't it? Because they know we stand a really good chance of winning most of these cases if we can get them to the court.
Yeah, but as you know, you're getting less than 1% of the cases that you file can get to the U.S. Supreme Court. So it's always very difficult, and they do everything they can to stall the motion of these cases moving, and they do everything they can to run up our bills so that we can't afford to follow the cases that need to be filed. And so, and they also know that the lower court levels, there's an awful lot of Obama and Biden-appointed judges that don't care what the Constitution says. Right. And lo and behold, they're going to rule against us and do everything they can as well to stall it from moving. So I'm kind of excited, though, because the Supreme Court had on its calendar to go over a review of one of our 18 to 20-year-old cases, and that case could very well, on Monday, the court could issue a mandate that they're going to hear that case. So I'm kind of excited when I get up Monday morning to see what happens. And I think all your listeners should pay attention Monday as well.
Well, Alan, you and I spoke over the weekend, and I'm waking up in a damn good mood tomorrow. I'm going to hit it hard, brother. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a good week. It really, truly is going to be a good week. I feel it, and I sense it in your voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you do as well. Let's talk quickly about Connecticut, because I don't want time to get away from us, which it will. Obviously, the Fourth Circuit case was one we were hoping they would take. The assault weapons, I say assault weapons ban, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way people know it as. Okay, it's modern sporting rifles, but for those that might not be aware of that, they might know AWB or assault weapons better. So let me just use that phrase, as much as I hate to do it. They didn't take the case. We thought they would. It checked all the boxes off. Here we are now in Connecticut. This looks like it's a really clean case, Alan. This cert petition, I've read it over 3 times, and it's clean. I think based on what we saw from Kavanaugh, I feel good about this case being taken. How about you?
Well, Kavanaugh again, telegraphed that the court should hear one of these cases, and I can't say how good I feel about it, based on the fact they didn't take the other one.
Makes sense.
This isn't the only one that's up there. There's the Cook County assault and ban out of Illinois that's moving as well, and they have one out of California that's moving as well. So the bottom line is, they may not choose this one. They may choose another vehicle, but they're going to. I'm going to predict they're going to choose one of them, and the question is, how quickly will they do it?
Is there one of them that you would prefer, that you feel better about versus the other? I mean, let's just say Cook County versus Connecticut.
I'm gonna say that the one I like the best is the first one. They can challenge, they can hear and rule in our favor. But again, our right delayed is a right denied, and this has been going on for way too long.
Yeah, it really has been going on for way too long. But we've, ladies and gentlemen, we feel good. And Alan, I don't think I'm putting words in your mouth when I say that we've heard you say on the show before, if we get one of these cases before the court, we win it.
I don't think there's any way the court would take it and not rule in our way. The way they would dispose of it is not take it. If they take it, we're going to win it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep your fingers crossed on this, okay? And we're going to take, as I said, a really deep dive into the weeds with Jared Yanis in the next hour on this Connecticut case. Can go really far because there's a lot to cover here, and we will be doing that. Here's a weird one. Go ahead, please.
Wait, Mark, I just want to say one thing real quickly. The problem we really have getting any of these cases to the court this particular year is their schedule is really overbooked because of the couple hundred lawsuits against the Trump administration that go onto that emergency calendar, which is knocking a lot of other cases they would take off. And the anti-gunners and the crazy liberals out there know that they can block up the courts with all these cases against the Trump administration, and then all these other cases that we want to move forward don't get to be heard. That's our biggest problem right now.
And I couldn't agree more. I'll just say this. There's the disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen. And just in case they don't hear one of these, either of these cases are good. And like Alan said, we felt that way. I felt probably even more so than that about the Fourth Circuit than I do now. Alan, we've only got 30 seconds left. I'll give you the final word. I apologize. I wanted to get to the stun guns with you, but that's okay. We can do that next week. What do you need people to know real quick?
Pay attention next week. There's going to be a lot happening in the courts and other places. It's going to be hopefully an exciting week for us, and I hope we don't have any disappointments. So just keep your eyes and ears open next week. And thanks for your support at saf.org.
Yeah, join us over at SAF, ladies and gentlemen, the premier gun rights organization. I'm telling you, when it comes to fighting in the courtrooms, Second Amendment Foundation is responsible for 85% of our victories across this country. SAF.org. You can join us. It's all available for you there. Won't you please help us out? When we come back, AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News will update us on everything he's written about. We'll see you on the flip side of the break. Don't go away. Thank you, Mr. Gottlieb. That was a really good hour, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Alan was in prime condition. And no doubt, after coming off of a previous radio show, he's given a lot of his time today, and we appreciate that very, very much. We'll be back right after the break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. Live and cameras back up. How's his connection? I know he's traveling. Is he okay?
He sounded fine.
Good.
Usual cell phone.
All right. Where's that feed? There it is. Sorry.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
All right, so hearing that rejoinder from the great Andy Hoosier, fellow talker Heavy 100, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, more so for Greg and those of you who listen to The Daily Show than anybody. And I know there's many more listeners on the program with us today, but Andy Hoosier is really big on the UFO deal, right? And Greg, earlier today, I got a text from Andy Hoosier. The movie The Age of Disclosure is dropping next week.
Oh my gosh.
On Prime. Now, I ordered it and bought it in advance. I'm ready. I pre-ordered the thing. And I'm here to tell you right now, can't wait to see it. And I can promise you Andy's going to want to talk about it tomorrow. So those of you who are listening to Andy Hoosier on the show tomorrow, prepare for that background music for at least one segment, okay? I'm telling you that right now. Welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of the CZ microphone with you here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And as you know, it's being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. And not just them, ladies and gentlemen, but all of our great partners that make this show possible. We need your support to support all of our partners and sponsors, every single one of them. And we'll tell you about each of them as we go through the program, but you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. It's tough out there for everybody right now, folks. So we need your help, okay? It's how we stay on the air. It's how they stay in business, and it's how you get everything that you need. So please visit them. I'm asking you, go out of your way and support our partners and let them know you heard it right here on AAR, and you can do that in most cases by using the AAR promo code. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, my good friend. How are you, brother? Thanks for taking time out of your busy travel to join us on the program today. What's going on, my man?
Oh, nothing. Just here. Good to be with you.
So I understand you went to a Texas Tech game this weekend, and I got to tell you, we wrecked them, brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we embarrassed that team. Now we just need to beat West Virginia and wrap this deal up. That'll be in 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. You know, you can't predict any games. You can lose any game.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I hope we'll be ready to play when we get to West Virginia.
Well, the old adage on Sundays is any given Sunday, right? I don't care about Sundays because I haven't watched the NFL in years, but you can say the same thing any given Saturday. And I know Texas Tech, there's been a lot of interest in Texas Tech lately. Landman dropped again today, and a lot of Texas Tech stuff going on there. So excited for them. They are 9-1, and it's good to see them. Been a fan for a long time. All right, AWR, we got a lot going on. Let's just talk about football because we're on football. That's kind of what brought it up. But the latest story that you put up today, and this is interesting, ladies and gentlemen, for a lot of reasons, and we'll cover it with AWR now, but Jets cornerback in critical condition after being shot in gun-controlled New York City. That's not supposed to happen. Are you sure did anybody at Breitbart need to fact-check you on this? Or am I reading that headline right? Because that shouldn't happen in New York City, AWR Hawkins.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it did, you know, and Mike Bloomberg's Everytown for Gun Safety ranks New York the fourth most gun-controlled city in the union, or state in the union, but it's sitting in that state. And, you know, that they have, I could list gun controls, but it would just be dead air because I would be listing them so long. And despite all those controls, Boyd got shot in the abdomen. As you say, critical condition. I believe he's critical but stable.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they're very slow to release details on it. But it was 2 a.m. this morning, and to your point, this is not supposed to happen in New York City. That's where gun control and the good Democrat governor has told us that gun control is going to make us safer. So apparently, she was wrong.
Yeah, well, now New York, you got to pay. You know, the reason, part of why we talk about New York right now, and we will be doing this. I'm just telegraphing this for you right now, folks, with Mamdani going in there and his gun hatred agenda. We're likely going to see more of this, and we're going to cover more of this as time goes by. But you're right. The last I saw was he was in critical. But this was a 2 o'clock in the morning gig outside of a Say Less, S-E-I, Less restaurant after a dispute turned violent. at 2 a.m. Now, I could play dad to everybody and say nothing good happens after midnight, but who am I to do that to an NFL player? Okay. But needless to say, none of the gun controls in New York City worked, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I think you'll agree with me, AWR. They never will. And let's just move across the river, because 3 wounded, 2 killed Saturday night in a Newark shooting. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but New Jersey ranks right up there. Bloomberg and every town love that state's gun controls. Could this be did they fact check you on this one too? Or is this really true too?
No, it's true. And, yeah, and the sad thing is one of the dead was a 10-year-old. So, you know, they were really slow to release details on this. It appears to me it's probably going to be a domestic, but I don't know that, so that's strictly an opinion. But, you know, I was very disappointed that the New York Post put it out as a mass shooting.
That's where I was going next. Yeah.
You got a double homicide and then some folks wounded in addition to that. I mean, and that's a bad deal, don't get me wrong, but it's not a mass shooting. And we probably will find out, as I say, that there's going to be a domestic issue at stake here. And so that's that. But, you know, but here's the other thing. It's beneficial when these outlets, and I like the New York Post, so I want to be careful of what I'm going to say. But
yeah, I'm with you.
Must have a couple of reporters to shoot from the hip here. It's beneficial when these outlets keep using the phrase mass shooting, because they've emptied it of meaning. It doesn't shock us anymore. When Sandy Hook happened, December 14th, 2012, guess what? That was a mass shooting.
Mm-hmm.
A few months before that, when the theater shooting happened in Aurora, Colorado in July 2012, guess what? That was a mass shooting. And when Columbine happened, that was a mass shooting. Right. And these things rocked our sensibilities. But now it doesn't even move the needle, because now it looks like if the fudge maker gets jacked up, it's a mass shooting. Now it looks like if I drop the mustard and my hot dog has ketchup only, it's a mass shooting. If there's a double homicide, it's a mass shooting. If I drop my ring in the sink, it's a mass shooting. So guess what? No one cares. And so they've emptied this phrase of meaning.
Yeah, and they've wrecked the whole gun violence archives, which nobody's referring to anyway. Don't even talk to me about ketchup on a hot dog, so we won't go there. But it's always interesting, and you're right about the New York Post. It was kind of disappointing. It's not a headline you would expect to see from the Post, maybe from the Daily News or the Times, but not the Post. But regardless, you're right. There is some benefit to them doing that, because they've cried wolf enough that it just waters everything down. And of course, you have the Democrat mayor in Newark stating, coming along, after a mass, they're calling it a great reduction in gun violence and all. And ladies and gentlemen, that's been the Democrat talking point since Trump's been elected, because they're trying to hijack statistics and numbers, and it's not going to work for them. We all know where crime is, and you don't believe me? Go walk down the streets of downtown Newark tonight at midnight unarmed. Go do that. Have fun. Good luck to you. Yeah, it's AWR, they just never stop. And while we're on these particular shootings, there's a sad one here, but you had 4 police officers consisting of 3 Osage County Sheriff's deputies and 1 highway patrol trooper who shot Saturday morning in Carbondale, Kansas. Always a bad story about 10:30 a.m. Do you have any updates, or do you know what happened? Because this was also a domestic violence call, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and I don't have anything else on that, Mark, because that was the first story I did today, and then I got lost in the others, so I don't have an update. But I do know that 2 of the deputies underwent surgery and were then stable. One of the deputies was treated rather quickly at a hospital and then released. So that's all great news. The one I don't know condition on is the highway patrol trooper.
Right.
So I have no condition on that individual.
It's a mess. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to go back to football again for just a moment, because legendary coach Beam, we have a story about that. AWR's written about it once and then followed up on that, and it's rather disturbing. But we're going to talk about it because, well, he wrote about it, and we want you to know about it. We've got a few more things to discuss with AWR Hawkins. We do have one more segment with him. And by the way, if you want to read anything that he writes, it's real simple to do. Use whatever search engine you want and just search AWR Hawkins Breitbart News, and you will get a list of all of his stories when it comes up as author at Breitbart News. And heck, if you're somewhere you can and you want to have some fun, you can follow along with us as we go through, and I cherry pick some of these stories that AWR keeps us up to speed on the current two-way news of the day. And we also have a great and a beautiful, as Trump would say, a very beautiful happy ending story that we'll wrap up with AWR. One more segment to go. Don't go away. Holy shit. Buckle down, ladies and gentlemen. These hours are flying by today. Mics and cameras are back up.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Attorneysonretainer.us. Very quickly, if you do not have that card in your wallet and you carry a handgun for self-defense, and it doesn't matter. You can use anything. But if you carry a gun for self-defense, this is Armed American Radio. You already know bad things can happen. So please, 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 let me pull my card up here. I bring it up here every day on the show. This is my card. My son has one. He's 21. My 23-year-old daughter has one, and my wife has one. And every member of your family, if they carry a firearm, should have this in their pocket. It's attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.us. We're going to save you with the program, with the promotional code AAR, $50 off the sign-up fee, and it is $35 a month. And here's the new kicker. As of last week, if you have to go to trial, you will have a team of up to 4 attorneys. Consider a dream team on your side for $35 a month, all designed to do one thing: keep you from having to spend years of your life in jail, destroying your life, ruining your finances, whatever it may be, for $35 a month. Those attorneys are not 35 times 4, folks. $35 a month. So if you've been on the fence about this, get off the fence and just do it. attorneysonretainer.us. Promo code is AAR. And again, you can find them and all our partners and sponsors at armedamericanradio.com. They're a great sponsor, and we appreciate them very much. Please, please look at them. AWR Hawkins, let's combine 2 of your stories together, because you wrote first, legendary football coach John Beam shot on college campus in gun-controlled California, and that was followed up with Coach Beam voiced concerns about lax security the day before he was killed. That's disturbing information. Can you take us through what happened here?
Yeah, well, he was shot about, I think, shortly after noon on Thursday. Here's the kid that shot him knew him, or who allegedly shot him. I better say that. It was a 27-year-old kid. And he went onto the campus, I believe you would say at Laney College, and Laney, and he went on the campus, and the coach was working as athletic director in the field house, and he was shot and fatally wounded on Thursday. He had literally expressed concern on Wednesday in a safety meeting that the school district had made a mistake, in his opinion, doing away with armed security and hiring unarmed security. And he felt like that they were at risk. And it was the very next day that he was shot in the state that has more gun control than any other state. This state has so much gun control, it makes New York look like a bunch of amateurs. And didn't do anything, though, to prevent the bad guy from being a bad guy, as it never does.
You know, I want to point out, I'm going to quote from AWR's piece here. It must be noted that California has more gun controls than any other state in the union, including a prohibition against concealed carry permit holders carrying their guns on college campuses for self-defense. You know, I can remember not too long ago, AWR, if you had a California permit, you could carry in a lot of places in California. They reined a lot of that in over the years. And when they did that, when you start pulling school security away, I mean, how much more of this do we have to put up with before the other side lets it sink in? Now, again, a rhetorical question, because they're not going to, but nonetheless, the rest of us can. We can figure this out. We hear Ryan Petty talk about it all the time. The Guardian program in Florida has been wildly successful. You know how many parklands there have been, AWR, since 2018? Since then? None. And I thought that Governor Newsom, he said this would shock a lot of people, but he supports the Second Amendment. I guess he just likes common sense gun restrictions. And I guess having armed security on campus is no longer common sense to them.
Yeah, well, they're just all ideologues. I mean, Newsom, number one, is not that bright. He happens to be able to speak without going, and so they consider him a good speaker. And that's about all you have to do on the left. You remember Obama, if you ever heard Obama off a teleprompter, coughing. So Newsom is a far better speaker than Obama, but sadly, substantively, far worse than Obama. And so when he says these things, he's just speaking. And most of the times to hear himself talk. But yeah, when he told Sean Ryan that he was pro 2A,
it was a joke. Everybody laughed. Sean Ryan laughed. I mean, he gave him a gun, and he didn't take it because he couldn't go through his own restrictions, or didn't want to. It's a joke. Let's move quickly to Giffords, because now, and this is fun. This is a fun story for me before we go to the happy ending story, because Giffords, so inconsequential, so relegated to nothingness that they're now harping on national reciprocity as a dangerous bill being pushed by extremists. Is this the best they got right now?
Well, it is the best they've got. You're right. They are. I think they thought they would be the Elvis of the gun control lobby.
Yeah.
And it turns out it didn't work out that way. I'll be honest with you. Anytime I write a Gifford speech and any of y'all read it, you can take this to the bank. I thought about it long and hard before I wrote it. Mm-hmm. I drank a cup of coffee, poured another cup, and thought about it some more because I don't want to give them the benefit of more exposure. They're so pathetic that I don't want to help them by writing about them. But when they make a move like this one that is so it's just so stupid, you have to write on it to show this is all the left's got left. This is all they got.
Yeah, and let's show how stupid it is. Extremists in Congress are pushing for a concealed carry mandate, which would allow people to carry hidden guns nationwide, regardless of state laws. That's not true, AWR. You have to follow the law in the state. Now, I think where they were going with this was that particular gun-controlled state doesn't allow reciprocal permitting is likely what they were referring to. But yet alone, they forget. Let's just shoot that down and checkmate them on this one. Almost half the country, or more than half the country, I should say, getting close to 30, possibly 31 in the near future, is already constitutional carry where no permits are even required. So they're just barking up the wrong tree, I believe. Let's close out with real fast because we're going to run out of time. But there was a happy ending story in Seattle, and I love to hear happy ending stories, particularly when it falls in a blue city like that just hired a commie mayor. But you had 2 alleged carjackers in serious condition after a licensed gun owner opens fire. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Take us to the music.
Yeah. Well, he dropped one of them right there, and he had to be scooped up and taken to the hospital. And then the getaway car had another one in it. There were a total of 4.
30.
One of the 3 in the getaway car, turns out he got shot too. And so they had to drop him at the hospital. So both of those individuals were in the hospital under armed guard to be charged once they were released after they had their gunshot wounds patched up and they were functional again. But it's a wonderful story in many ways because Sunday night, Heidi didn't get to cook dinner, or was Sunday, yeah. And I was extremely hungry, and I was thinking, if I lived close to those folks, their mom would have had 2 extra meals, and I could have gone over to either home and
had a great dinner. AWR Hawkins, thank you, brother, for everything that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, AWR Hawkins, fan favorite for many, many years on this program. You just found out why. You can read everything he writes at Breitbart News. He's keeping us up to speed and up to date. He's a great source of content for this show. We talk back and forth every single day about these various stories, so it's fun to see him come to life on print and bring them to life, if you will, here on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast every single Sunday. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, thank you, and thank Breitbart for giving you that voiceover there to cover this very, very important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, a great hour for you. Guns and Gadgets, YouTube sensation, Jared Yanis on what's going on in Connecticut. Fascinating conversation coming up. And we'll cover some other issues as well. You don't want to miss it. Enjoy your break. We'll be back at 6 after the hour.
You just
All right, guys, welcome back. We'll be back in about a minute, a little bit over a minute. Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets is on hold with us. We're going to have a fairly lengthy conversation about what's going on at this Connecticut case. You heard Alan talk a little bit about it, and Jared at Guns and Gadgets has a really, really good take on this thing because this is a really clean case. And if you read the petition for cert, you'll agree with me on that, I'm sure, and agree with him as well. But we're gonna take a dive into it and let him give us his thoughts on this because I happen to agree with him here. I don't know what it's going to take to change my mind on that. I think Alan tried, but it didn't work because I feel good about this case. I know Alan's just throwing the disclaimer out because he has to. Don't want anybody to get too excited, so we won't be too disappointed. Did you get that sense that that's what he was doing, Greg? I kind of did.
Well,
I don't want people to get too excited, right?
Yeah, no.
After that letdown on that Fourth Circuit Snopes case that later turned to Brown. Good heavens. Or Snopes, I mean, the Fourth Circuit case. I'd have had money on that one.
Yeah, I can't bet on none of these.
True, not anymore. No better anyway.
Yeah. All right, round two. Here we go.
And we're off.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to move. That first hour flew right by. They always do. But that one went peculiarly fast. I'll get that out, right? I did that intentionally. Peculiarly fast. Yes, it did. Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me. Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in CZ microphone lit up for you here. Powerful microphone, busting out on hundreds of radio stations around the nation. Tons and tons of digital stations numbering in the hundreds. We appreciate every single one of our great affiliates and all of our great partners, which can be found at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We got you covered there. And of course, we are at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. If you're watching on your devices, hopefully you're not watching while you're driving. Don't do that. But I got the cool Patriot Mobile hat on. I have to fight my kids for this hat and a couple others as well. But patriotmobile.com. And we are, of course, at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Welcome in with us. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing? Was I wrong on that hour flying by? You were on the gas on that one, brother.
Yeah, I was. I was leaning into it.
Okay, well, slow down a little bit on this one. This is going to be a great conversation. Guys, if you want to watch the program, you can do so over at facebook.com/armedamericanradio, facebook.com/armedamericanradio. And Greg, I'll let you tell where everybody else can get it. If you don't want to watch it on Facebook, you can watch it where you're going to tell people to watch it and get involved in the chat and have some fun too.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon and select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you want to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That will do it. Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets fame, YouTube sensation. What are you up to? You busted close to 1 million over there yet, brother?
I haven't really checked. Mid to high 700s was probably my guess, but I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man, and I really appreciate you coming on the program. I get a lot of great emails and a lot of great calls and texts when you're on the show, man. You quickly became a fan favorite, but we both knew that was going to happen. So you did just a huge dive into this Connecticut case. So as we have the hour together, let me set this up the way I kind of mentioned this to Alan. Here we are in a post-Bruin environment, and I know you're like me. Were you disappointed when the Fourth Circuit case wasn't taken? I feel certain that you were.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I thought that was a grand slam.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought that was a slam dunk as well, and I was just telling Greg during the break, and I would have lost money on that You never know what the court's going to do, but I thought that was definitely a slam dunk, and it wound up not being. Now, Alan, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Connecticut assault weapons ban case. Cert petition has been filed, and it's 30-some pages long, but, Jared, it's clean. I mean, this is clean. It's cleaner than any cert petition I've ever seen, particularly an assault weapons ban case, in large measure because of the other ones that weren't taken, based off of what Kavanaugh said when the Fourth Circuit case was refused. So let's kind of get into the weeds. Tell us, if you could, bring to life your YouTube video, which was just so cut and dry.
Sure. So this, first off, thanks for having me again, man. It's
Absolutely
awesome always coming on here to talk to everybody. This case, unlike many other cases, it's literally simple. It's one question. And in this case, CCDL and Connecticut Citizens Defense League and Second Amendment Foundation, the question they pose is, pretty easy. It's whether the Second and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution guarantee the right to possess semi-automatic rifles that are in common use for lawful purposes, including the most popular rifle in the country, the AR-15. That's it. There's no other, terminology they use. It's just straight, slap you in the face with a straight question. And oftentimes I believe that's what we need, is just a straight question for the court to directly, directly address. And hopefully this is one of the ones that they will consider either taking on its own or consolidating with the several other cases that are out there.
Yeah. Now, Gottlieb was talking to us about, when I asked him if he felt which one, the Cook County case or this might be, he said, Mark, at this point, just take one. This has been lingering for far too long. And I think you would agree with that sentiment. I do too. But this case seems to me to be a little cleaner. And when I texted you earlier, I used that word clean. And when I mean clean, it's just that answer this one question for us. And there's a couple setups in here in the cert petition. The AR-15 is the modern descendant of our forefathers' rifles. If the Second Amendment does not protect it, then it is unclear what that amendment does protect. Indeed, it would not be hyperbole to say that the question presented by this case is whether Heller identified the test for determining which arms the Second Amendment protects, or rather the only class of arms that merit protection. This case presents a clean vehicle for answering that question. This court should grant cert petition. And then they go on to talk in great detail about it. But let's talk about why, because not just the one question, but what else makes this clean? Their referral to previous cases looks to me to be a checkmate. And I'm going to refer to page 30 in case you have it in front of you coming up in the conversation. But what makes this not just the one question, but is my assessment right by the reference to the others compared to Brewer or to Bruin and Heller and McDonald all being referred at the same time? This seems like a checkmate to me.
Yeah, it's the way that they wrote this it's really, really cool. You're like me, we read them all, and oftentimes they kind of all blend together. But this one stood out, clean, simple, straight to the point. Look, we know you guys have looked at a couple other cases. If you didn't want those, then we'll just break it down and make it easy for you. Does the Second Amendment cover AR-15s? And if not, what does the Second Amendment cover at all? And that's perfect. I think that's where we are in this country now. Many people are getting, gun control fatigue. We all know that these laws are unconstitutional. And hell, the states that pass these laws, there's 10 states that ban it, in D.C., if you want to throw them in there as well. They know that it's unconstitutional. They know that ultimately they're going to lose these lawsuits, but the process is the punishment. They know that they'll keep it on the books for 6 to 12 years, and it'll cost, citizens and or these groups millions of dollars and time and years before it even gets addressed, if it gets addressed. And there's a very small amount of cases that are filed that even get to the Supreme Court, never mind get it accepted by them. So, it's a gamble. As an anti-gunner, it's a gamble they'd like to take because they'll make you suffer for a decade. If they do get punched in the face, it's 10 years down the road.
Yeah, guys, just to give you some inside dope here, a little bit of inside baseball. When Jared and I went back and forth on the text a little bit, what else did we want to talk about? And I said, I think if we just stay focused on Connecticut, I think that just the normal outgrowth of the conversation will lead to whatever else. I don't like to do bullet points, ladies and gentlemen. What you hear on this program is spontaneous conversation, just as if you were listening to Jared and I talk on the phone or in a text message. And I think you just nailed it there. You said, for 10 years, in other words, they don't mind dragging this out. And they don't, because isn't part of their objective to bankrupt everybody they can in this industry, number one?
Oh, absolutely. If they could take, we'll just take this case, CCDL and SAF. If they can just suck $1 million or $2 million out of their purse, then it's less money they have for the next fight and then the next fight after that. So it's a cumulative effect, and that's all they really care about is how weak they can make these groups. And at the same time, when we, the citizens who see the lack of success, the lack of perceived success in the courts, we start to get fatigued as well. So that's what they want. They want the groups to have less money. They want the people to have less drive to support these groups and send money, especially now when times are tough across the country. And it all helps them to their end goal, which is to, disenfranchise people from their rights, which helps towards the ultimate goal of taking away, the right to keep and bear arms. So it's a cumulative effect. It's a multifaceted attack. They've been doing it for decades, and we're just starting to catch on to it over the last, decade and a half. So we got some catch up to do.
We do, and Bruin laid that out for us. As I mentioned to Alan, it's kind of a cornucopia, right? Because we have this opportunity now in a post-Bruin environment, and I do want to get into this conversation with you about, Greg, how much time do I have? Can you tell me that real quick?
50.
We have 50 seconds. Okay, so let me just take this to the break. When we come back, part of what I want to talk with you about, Jared, well, there's a lot I want to talk with you about here, and I do want to, that page 30 to 33 in that cert petition just has so much meat in it. But when we come back from this break, I want to talk about modern semi-automatic firearm technology because it is laid out in this brief very, very well. And ladies and gentlemen, many of you might not know this, but modern semi-automatic firearm technology has been around for over 140 years, dating back to 1885. And a lot of people, Jared, don't know that. They think because of the hijacking of the language that they have been so successful on the left, that this is somehow some new modern dangerous technology. And the words dangerous and unusual are going to come up in this conversation as well. There is a lot to unpack here. And I have to say, I thought, this case looks good. It looks like a slam dunk to me. Well, I felt the same way about the Fourth Circuit case, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And we didn't fare too well there. So there's no way to know. But we know they're going to take one. And this is post-Kavanaugh's statement. So we're going to go into all of this with Jared Yanis. You know him from YouTube over at Guns and Gadgets. Guns and Gadgets. Make sure to subscribe to Jared at Guns and Gadgets. Help him to get to 1 million. We'll be right back. Back at you in 20, guys. Welcome back in. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets, and we've got a great hour lined up for you with Jared. He's awesome, just chock full of information. Proud to bring him to you.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, that would be a wise thing to do, ladies and gentlemen. nra.org/AAR. It pretty much clears it up for you right there. You can join us 1 to 3 years. We're going to give you a range bag, 5-year to life. We're going to give you a 10x42 binoculars. That promotion will end at the end of this month. So we've got, 14, 15 days, somewhere in that area, 14 days, 15 days? Yeah, it's the 16th, so 14 days. So take advantage of this, please. And then one of you is going to win a range bag loaded with swag from all of our other great partners, nra.org/AAR. It's that simple. Join us. We'll save you $10 on the 1 year, $15 on the 2, $25 on the 5, and $500 on the life membership. So please do that and visit all of our great partners, including budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. They have everything you need and everything you want. Welcome back to Armed American Radio's Monster Cast on a Sunday here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of this very powerful CZ microphone, busting out all over the nation and, quite frankly, around the world. We love all of our great affiliates, and we love you for being here. Just in case nobody's told you today, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it, so take that to the bank. Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, welcome back, my friends. Pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be with you, bud.
Oh, man, we have so much to cover here. Let's get right on it. I closed out with the modern firearm technology because the left is, and I know you know this, but they've been so successful in hijacking the language, right? Just the misnomer assault weapon. Okay,
yeah. Well, assault weapons. That's a term that was made up in the '80s to confuse people, and it's worked. It's still sticking around here, a couple decades later.
Well, that's how effective they've been. Look, you got to hand it to them. That's what money and I think even more than money, I think having the mainstream media on your side has allowed them to hijack the language as successfully as they've been able to do. But they have done a great job at it, and we can learn some things from them. Unfortunately, we don't have the mainstream press on our side pushing us behind that wind behind our sails. But yeah, that technology has been around for 140 years. And I mean, it goes back to air rifles, tubular magazines, which function like a semi-automatic firearm. And I believe they point to one in here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. While a few laws restricted certain semi-automatic firearms in the 1920s and 30s, was it 1927 publication, Acts 887, 888, 889, restricting semi-automatic firearms capable of firing 16 rounds without reloading. These were short-lived aberrations, which Bruin tells us does not apply, Jared, when it comes to the historical analog, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like you said in the open here, folks need to understand repeating arms, what we have today, repeating arms, they existed way back in the 1700s. Mm-hmm. And what some would consider high-capacity arms, those existed long before the AR-15 was even a pipe dream for anybody. So this is not new. I mean, you had a 16-shot rifle called the Belton rifle way back in the day, and the pickle gun. I mean, those are all guns that people can go and Google and see how long they've been around. And quite frankly, people will be astonished because you're not told about that by, the lamestream media. So it's the text, history, and tradition, the Heller test that was strengthened by the Bruin decision is the best vehicle we have for the restoration of the Second Amendment. A lot of people say expanding gun rights. We're not expanding anything. We're looking to gain back lost ground. And we have the vehicle and the test to do it. Now it's just getting the court, the Supreme Court, to start addressing some of the lower court decisions that have been waffling. Like just on the AR bans themselves, you got the First Circuit that says ARs, while arms, can still be banned, which violates everything. You got the Fourth Circuit that says ARs, they're not even arms at all, so they're not covered by the Second Amendment. The Seventh says they're just military weapons. DC says they're super lethal, so we can't have those. The circuits are all over the place, and that's one of the things the Supreme Court specifically looks for, is a split within the circuits. And we have a split here on this subject, probably like no other in the country.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And that's how we know, ladies and gentlemen, that they're going to take a case. Even sans Kavanaugh's statement before, or I should say after the Fourth Circuit case was refused cert, we've always known they're going to take one of these cases. And I don't know, Jared, are you shocked? I'm not. Some people are that it's taken so long, but when you look at Bruen, I think it's totally natural and totally normal, as much as I hate it because we all want everything yesterday, but the court had to wait and see how the lower courts were going to rule post-Bruen decision in 2023. They had to wait. Now they've waited and they're beginning to see this. What do we have? A possibility of 6 cases. We have 4 coming up this week at conference and possible other 2. Right. I mean, this is unprecedented, is it not?
It is. If you just look at the case, the situation you just brought up, it took them 14 years to correct lower courts and how they bastardized the Heller decision. So, if we get one this term or the next, like Kavanaugh predicted, then we're doing good. It's like really fast for the Supreme Court. I know one of the test cases they had were the amount of cases the day after or the week after Bruen, when they GVR'd them, they granted certiorari, vacated the lower court decision, and remanded them back to be redecided in light of Bruen. They wanted to see how the courts were going to readjust based off of the spanking they got from the Supreme Court. And to a man, none of them changed anything. So now it's on the Supreme Court to really fix it, and not only fix it, but the anti-gunners have a skill. They have a really good skill in breaking down what the Supreme Court says in Second Amendment cases, looking for that open door that the Supreme Court left cracked open, and then they exploit that. Like for Bruen, it was sensitive places, but they said, some things, that have been around forever, like the governments and the polling places and stuff like that. But they didn't say that's all it was. So now you see like New York and Massachusetts and California, they want to make everything a sensitive place, therefore banning the Second Amendment everywhere. So hopefully they can learn from that and leave no doors left cracked open that the anti-gunners can't kick in and bastardize.
Which they will always do, because as Ryan Petty reminds us, ladies and gentlemen, the left will never stop. And they did the same thing in Heller when it comes to, regulations, when Scalia put in, and I don't have the exact phrasing because I don't have Heller in front of me. I should, as I refer to it, but it just popped up into my head. And the gun grabbers looked at Heller right after the decision was made and actually tried to say that it was in favor of gun control. So, guys, they will just never stop. It's that simple. But this Connecticut ban, going to page 18 on the cert, the Connecticut ban reaches the most popular rifle in the country, suggests if the decision below is correct that no firearm in the country is protected except the handguns that this court considered in Heller. Indeed, the panel comes close to saying as much. The panel held that the Second Amendment permits governments to ban unusually dangerous weapons, but it did not say what makes a firearm unusually dangerous. So, Jared, in the essence of time, where this is going here is, according to these other decisions, upholding the bans. And I'll take us to the break with this and go right to you when we come back. According to the cert petition here, ladies and gentlemen, the other courts that have upheld the ban seem to make it possible for only the government to determine what weapons can or can't be banned, period, without a firm decision from the court, which means they can, in essence, ban whatever they choose to in the legislative process. And we'll get deeper into that. I'm going to run out of time. But suffice to say, we have a lot more to talk about with Jared Yanis on this. It's some really interesting twists and turns here when it comes to unusually dangerous. And we'll go there with Jared Yanis when we come back. Of course, Jared, YouTube sensation, Guns and Gadgets. Go over there, subscribe to his channel, and help the man get to 1 million, folks. It helps all of us. We'll be back with Jared right after this. Hey guys, let me welcome Billy into the chat over on Riverside, Bullhead City. I know where you're listening, brother. Welcome in, Billy. Great to see you here from Arizona. Love you guys. Bullhead City, great place. Is that KZZZ or KAAA? I forget which one it is. It's one of those two, I'm pretty sure. Billy, if you're tuned in, let me know which station you're listening on over there. Or maybe you're listening on your phone, but you could be listening on one of the two stations that carry us there in and around the area. Let me know which station if you're on that. That would be kind of cool. Or not. Phone works as well. Modern day radios, guys. I got to dig into this brief. I'll be right back. Lights and cameras are up.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Oh, man, and that Desperado Sport Fish crew just sent me some video out shooting on a 1,000-acre preserve owned by Smithfield. Just yesterday, they were having a blast out there shooting some skeet and having a great time. The Desperado crew, Joe, Beverly, we love you guys. Thanks for all of your support over the years. Welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom here in the Car Firearms Group studios in front of this CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And of course, it's all brought to you by the NRA. If you need a new holster, guess who's got a great one for you? Crossbreed. Look no further. It's pretty much that simple, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you a story this week coming up about Crossbreed and how we hooked up when I hooked up with the owner originally. It's a fascinating story. I was reminded of it today when I was talking with my son, and I want to give you that information on the daily show coming up. Crossbreedholsters.com, crossbreedholsters.com. Make sure to check them out. And a big shout out to Billy listening on KQAM 140 out there in Bullhead City, Arizona. We love you guys. Thanks for jumping in the chat, Billy. We appreciate it very much. Welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you here. Jared Yanis, welcome back, brother. So I'm going to refer back now to page 18 on this because there is a lot of meat here. And I think this, to me, is why this case seems cleaner. But before I go there, let me ask you this. When you compare the Fourth Circuit case to this case, I think what made the Fourth Circuit to me, that was denied cert, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, a slam dunk was because of the process it was in already when the court looked at it at cert with the Fourth Circuit, correct?
Yeah. So, like here, like this is an interlocutory appeal, if that's what you're getting at.
Yes.
The previous case, Snope, had already reached its final conclusion, where this one has not reached its final conclusion yet. So that's why I thought that Snope was a phenomenal one, because it had already reached the end of the road. So the last step was the Supreme Court, where this one is still in the it's in the final part of the tour, but it's still part of the tour.
And that's what interlocutory means, ladies and gentlemen. It just hasn't been finally adjudicated in a nutshell. That's what it is. And for all you attorneys out there, I apologize for not using the proper lingo, but for the layman out here, that's what it means. If I'm wrong about that, correct me, Jared, but I think that's a pretty apt description at this point. All right.
Spot on.
I'll take that, brother. I'll take that as a win. The panel assured petitioners that they can still acquire and possess many semi-automatic weapons that have been deemed to be less dangerous by the legislature. So listen to some of the phrasing here, folks. Less dangerous, unusual, and legislature as I go through this, including popular semi-automatic hunting rifles like the Ruger Mini 14. But it did not explain why Connecticut could not ban all these firearms too. It is especially difficult to see why, under the panel's rationale, Connecticut could not ban other semi-automatic hunting rifles, which are not meaningfully different from AR-15s in functionality. Remember when we talked about the semi-automatic firearm being in existence as repeating arms for over 150 years, folks. This is why this is all tied together and so critical. In fact, the panel's reasoning suggests that the only limit on Connecticut's power to ban any weapon at all is the judgment of its legislature. Yet this court has held 3 times that the Second Amendment does not countenance judicial deference to legislative interest balancing. And that's referring to Bruin, Heller, and McDonald, and all 3 areas of those cases are cited here. And I quote, "That is because the Second Amendment is the very product of an interest balancing by the people, and it surely elevates above all other interests the right of law-abiding, responsible citizens to use arms for self-defense." And they go on to say, Jared, if Heller had applied the rationale of the decision below, that case likely would have been decided in favor of D.C.
Yeah, it's so frustrating reading these cases, especially when you know what they're getting at. Like the court's just saying, like, you guys, you don't need to have these guns. You can have those guns. They're less dangerous. They're less scary. But one thing I think is key for the listeners to really understand, like, I'm getting right down to the brass tacks of being an American here. We had what we call the Second Amendment. We had the right to defend ourselves before we put quill to parchment and created the Constitution. It was just a document that said we had these rights already. We're just going to recognize them here in this document. We do not get our rights from government. And Americans need to understand that. It's like Alan Gottlieb says all the time. It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. Mm-hmm. And here you have a court telling you, the American people, what you need to defend your family, defend your wife and children, when a bad guy who's not going to follow the law, mind you, kicks your door in with an AR-15 or an AK-47. They can have those, but you can't. And this is a court telling you, you can have those less scary guns. It's totally unacceptable, which is why, like you, I think the court should just knock this out of the park for a grand slam.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not going to put any money on it because I lost the last go around if I had done it. But I do, I do feel good about it, and I think in large measure because of what Kavanaugh said in his statement after the court refused Fourth Circuit. And what's interesting to me a couple times in this, and they mentioned this throughout the brief, and again, why it appears slam dunkness is involved here, because every other case they refer to leads directly to the fact, and it ties in with what you just said, that the Second Amendment. Now, Tim Kaine has, he might have a different idea because he thinks rights come from government, but that's a whole nother show. All right. He hadn't figured it out yet. I guess he needs to go back and take a civics class. Remember civics class, ladies and gentlemen? Some of you clearly do. But again, and you brought up a good point, they can ban these, okay, but what happens when they do? Those other guns they said you could have, Jared? And this is what we were just pointing out in the brief. Well, what's to stop them after that? See, this is how they take an inch and turn it into a mile. This is their end game. Let's get this low-hanging fruit and tell them they can have this, but then, oh, by the way, That's the same functional gun. Ruh-roh, right?
Exactly.
Look.
Exactly. Case in point, look at some of the states that are now going after what they used to call pre-ban guns or compliant guns. Massachusetts had compliant AR-15s for 25, 30 years, and then overnight overnight they changed their mind. So they're coming after everything they can, and what they say you can have now, they'll go back 10 years from now, 5 years from now, and change that law so you can no longer have those either. So it's just a trickle-down process. What they don't ban today, they're going to come after tomorrow.
And you know what's interesting is when you remember the whole bump stock fiasco, right? Jared, is it necessary to have a bump stock on a firearm to bump fire the firearm? It's not.
Oh, no, not at all.
Right? So where I went with that, it kind of ties in here is I'm actually kind of surprised that the left in a more concerted effort didn't say, well, look, guys, or even the ATF under Biden, it doesn't need a bump stock. It can still be bump fired. There's videos all over the place, YouTube, belt loops, the whole 9 yards. Learn how to fire the gun. You can bump fire the gun, make it go poof instead of poof, okay? Well, wait a minute. This is actually not a semi-automatic rifle. I'm shocked they didn't come after that as a fully automatic rifle. And I'm curious as to why you think maybe they didn't. I thought that was going to be one of their more well-rounded arguments. I guess they just couldn't get past the mechanical functionality of what we're talking about, even though it can be done without the bump stock.
Well, I think you're starting to see a test case right now in California where they're going after Glock as a readily convertible firearm. This is the test case. If they can get away with calling Glocks machine guns in waiting, then they're going to be calling the AR-15 machine guns in waiting. They're just going to move that argument from one inanimate object to the next. So it's very important that we beat them down right now on this before it gets to the point where we need a full correction across the board.
Yeah, and when we come back, I know we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to stay on this because page 30 on this brief is we're able to go down a couple different spider holes here because the panel offered other justifications for holding the way it did. And when we come back, I'll describe that to you. Think this in terms of this, ladies and gentlemen. Successfully banned the AR-15. The AR-15 is used in, well, let me phrase it this way to make it simpler for you without having to give you numbers. 95% of all murders in the United States are committed by criminals using handguns. Okay? If they can go after the AR-15, they don't want to take your handguns, do they? No, 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 no. When we come back, we'll talk about what Jared, which is kind of offshoot from what he said. They won't go after all handguns at one time because they know Heller said you can't do that, but they can certainly go after a particular brand or model, can't they? This all ties together. We have one more segment with the great Jared Yanis. Make sure to subscribe to him over at Guns and Gadgets on YouTube. We'll be back. All right, guys, final segment already. Buckle in. Moving right along. The roundtable is going to move faster than the other 2 hours, so just giving you a heads up. Roger that. Mike's live. Camera's back up.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Welcome back. There's my Attorneys on Retainer card there if you're watching on camera. Please don't do that if you're driving. Attorneysonretainer.us. They are the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Get you a dream team of attorneys. God forbid you ever need it. Unlikely, but if you do, all I can tell you is you don't want to be that person that went, oh, my God, I should have done this. When you're staring down the barrel of bankruptcy and prison, and it was unnecessary. You should have listened. Attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR, one of our greatest sponsors ever. I can say that. I promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing makes it on this show that I don't use, wear, eat, sleep with, shoot, eat, whatever it is. It's that simple, and they are the real deal. I trust them with my family's defense, including my 21-year-old, my 23-year-old. You should too. Attorneysonretainer.us. Make sure to check out Bud's Gun Shop, Heaven's Harvest. Speaking of eating, I eat Heaven's Harvest food. I have a bunch of it here. HeavensHarvest.com, HeavensHarvest.com. Clayton Llewellyn and his family have been supporting this program for years. Please support them back. They have great deals over there. Throw the AAR promo code up there. Find out what deals you get. And while you're at it, I just ordered, Greg, I don't think I told you this yet, but I just ordered more MyPillows yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, support Mike. He's been supporting this program for years. MyPillow.com/AAR. Check out all the great deals over there, okay? And support them. They need your help. They've been just hammered by the left for years, Mike has. MyPillow.com, you know that. You know the website. Welcome back to the Car Firearms Group Studios. Jared Yanis, welcome back, brother. So,
good to be here, bud.
I think you were spot on with that. But, when the left, talking about the handgun deal and everything, and I think that's where the words dangerous and unusual come into play here because, well, the Glock is dangerous and unusual in its former iteration anyway because it can be whatever. And that's why I think this brief addresses all of that in such a clean way that I have not seen a brief like this, which is why I feel good about it. And here's what they say. While any weapon can be used for unlawful purposes, it is indisputably true that handguns are used that way disproportionately often. And then Heller refers to that. They go to it, noting that handguns are used in violent crimes far more often than rifles. What is more, the semi-automatic rifles banned by Connecticut are hardly novel. They have been available for decades. And they go on and on and on. And I'd just like to get your thoughts on that because that is going to be, they're telegraphing their forward playbook to us, Jared. We're looking right at it. We've got to be able to see it for what it is and believe our eyes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're just trying to gaslight, the citizens of Connecticut to believe their BS. I mean, there's no other way to say it. The AR is not novel. It's been around for a very, very long time. It's the most popular rifle in America. There are 20 to 30 million of them in circulation. I tend to think that's low because I know what I have in my safes.
Well, you and me both, brother.
Yeah.
An arsenal, according to the left, I can promise you that's what they'd call it for sure.
Oh, exactly. And if the Supreme Court were to let the Second Circuit's opinion stand, well, then they could just legislatively remove everything. You don't need subguns. Now you don't need shotguns because we don't think that, we think they're very dangerous, but you could have something less dangerous like a 6-shot revolver. And then, the legislators don't think you need 6 shots, you need 5. You only need 4, then you need 3, and it just never stops. And that's why, it's important for everybody to understand, we Americans, the Second Amendment is not an agreement with legislature. The Constitution is not a restriction on us. It's a restriction on them. It's a contract between the government, the central government that we didn't want, but we knew we kind of needed, and the citizenry. And it's the powers that they get. It's not the powers they give to us. So, and that's kind of where we're trying to correct the last 8 years here, actually more than that, but we have some ground to make up, and we have some great cases that can knock it out of the park, and we have the court now in the Supreme Court, the makeup that's favorable to us doing it. So the race is on, and may the good Lord keep Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito in his good grace and keep them healthy, because we need the court makeup to stay exactly the way it is. Otherwise, stuff that the Second Circuit's saying is going to be allowed to fly.
Yeah, and you are so right on, and we forget that a lot. We don't. A lot of people do forget that it is a restraint on the federal government, not on us. And this brief points out that the government, in this case being Connecticut at the state level, is making decisions legislatively that are in violation of that contract agreement that was written in the Constitution. So to close out on that, there is little to be gained from additional percolation of this issue in the lower courts. As noted, lower court majorities have set forth several different rationales for upholding bans on AR-15s and similar rifles, and dissenting judges have offered hundreds of pages explaining why these bans violate the Second Amendment and this court's own precedents. If anything, additional percolation is likely to inject more confusion into Second Amendment doctrine, as the panel suggested in the decision below. And it says, not noting this court's precedents have caused confusion among courts generally. The court should grant the petition for certiorari. So it's a perfect place to end with a couple minutes to go to just kind of wrap up on this, because I'm going to ask you for a prediction on this, and you and I are going to come back on the air and talk about how right we were or how wrong we were, and if we're right, we're going to gloat like crazy just because we can. But will you agree with Alan that if the court takes this case, they're certainly not taking it to lose? They're taking it, the mere fact that he feels that if they take the case, he feels it's going to be a victory simply because they took it under these conditions.
I agree wholeheartedly, simply because there's only one question posed. There's really no wiggle room. So the court knows that this is teed up for them, and if they do take the case, they're going to. It's a slow pitch softball beer league, pitch, man. It's fat, it's over the plate, and they're going to knock it out of the park. But we need them to take the case. Yeah, it's one of those things you can never predict what they're going to do, because it's kind of unpredictable.
Yeah, and like Alan said, and I'll hold my hat on this because he knows the Supreme Court better than anybody else out there, at least in our world anyway. Lord knows that he's won 85% of the cases he's put his hands on over the years at SAF. But they're not. If they wanted the other courts to be upheld, they would just simply not take the case. So and he's absolutely right about that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, again, you never know what the court's going to do. However, it really, really, truly does lean in our favor. Hey, Jared, we've got about a minute left. I want you to tell people all about where they can find you. I really want to help you get to 1 million, brother. It would be really cool. I'd be really proud of that.
Thank you, man. If you can hear my voice and you love the Second Amendment and you want to know about the never-ending fight that we are fighting in the trenches to keep it and to restore it, Guns and Gadgets on YouTube is the best place to find video content. And on X, I'm active there as well, trying to help people understand, what we're doing every day to push back the assault in every single state, every city, and on the national level.
Yeah, Virginia, real quick. Doomed or not? Oh, boy.
Doomed.
I know.
It's
a mess.
Yeah, it's going to be really bad there. Everything that the current governor who's on his way out has vetoed, they're going to just resubmit it, and it's going to be all passed. Every
bit of it will pass, and Spanberger is going to sign it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're within earshot of us and you live in Virginia in particular, please, please, please support VCDL out there right now. Join the NRA based in Virginia. Join the Second Amendment Foundation. Make sure to spread these shows around. Make sure to join and subscribe over at Jared's site over on YouTube at Guns and Gadgets. Jared, thank you so much, brother. I love you. Everything you do is amazing. You do great work over there. Can't wait to bring you back. And I know we're gonna toast a victory here with a good old fashioned. All right. Something tells me you can enjoy a
Yes.
good old-fashioned from time to time. I know I can, and I know that for a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets. Thank you, Jared, for everything that you do. Coming up, a classic Armed American Radio roundtable with Parkland father Ryan Petty, CEO of Car Arms, the Car Firearms Group. We're in the Car Firearms Group studios, Justin Moon, and combat vet and Lead Slingers founder Brad Premo. Back right after this, 6 minutes after.
You just filled your
All right, guys, stick around. A classic Armed American Radio roundtable. Everybody's slated to be here. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Firearms Group, Parkland father Ryan Petty, and, of course, fan favorite Brad Premo, combat vet, former law enforcement officer, and founder of Lead Slingers Whiskey. 6 minutes after, we're going to take a biology break, and we'll be back in just a minute for you. Don't go away. Guys, I hope you all are enjoying the show. Stick around with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, about 4 minutes, actually, maybe a little bit less, 3.5, with the crew and the roundtable. I have no idea where we're going to go. We'll figure it out. That's what we do with the roundtable. Maybe I'll let them direct it. And I will see you here in just a couple minutes. But buckle in. It is going to fly right by, ladies and gentlemen. It truly is. Hang tight with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. Got the crew here just working on getting Ryan set up.
All right, Ron's good now.
All right. Live radio. 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 I like it.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast, a classic Armed American Radio roundtable is about to get underway. Hell, it is getting underway. It's underway right now, Greg and Dallas, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been underway for 2 hours.
The fact I'm talking, the roundtable is underway, right? They're not getting underway. It is underway. I guess that could be argued, but yeah, right now somebody's out there going, get on with it.
Yeah,
get on with it. And I'm saying, chill out, calm down. It's okay. It's a roundtable. That's what it's all about. You never know where we're going to go. We just know we got a great crew for you. You're inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom here in front of this very powerful CZ microphone on hundreds of radio stations around the nation. And guys, I got to tell you, it's so much fun. Love Sundays. You can watch Landman later, or maybe you already saw it. I know I'm going to watch it after the show today.
I gotta watch it too.
Yeah, it depends on if my son caught up on the final 3 episodes. I just got him. He's now hooked. So we had to go watch the
series.
first season again.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 more to go. And hopefully while I'm on air, he's doing that because I really want to watch it tonight.
Yeah, it's a great series.
I won't watch it and then bail on him. I'll wait. Because you got to wait every week for it, but that's okay. I don't mind. I can live with that. So guys, welcome back in. We appreciate it. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program. If you're just rejoining us, welcome back to the program. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Of course, if you want to watch the program, we're going to tell you how to do that, but please don't do it if you're driving. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And please like us over there. Help us get back up over to 100,000 there, okay? We're in influencer territory there, and we need your help to do that. Facebook has a way of removing, likes from you when it's a political show. So help us. Just go over and like it. If you're on Facebook, just Armed American Radio, click like. We would appreciate it. We don't hitch and bombard you with nothing. We've never put an ad up over there that seeks you. It's all organic. So please join us over there as well. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Greg, take it away, and then we'll get started with the crew.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it. Who jumped in first? I'm going to guess it was Brad.
It's always Brad. Always Brad.
Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers, combat veteran, real true American hero, ladies and gentlemen, former law enforcement. Brad, how you doing, brother? We love you.
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
Doing wonderful, man. Love what we're doing here every Sunday, and I appreciate you being here. Justin Moon, CEO, Car Firearms Group, here in the Car Firearms Group studios with me. How you doing, Justin?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, man. Looking for some good drops from you tonight because we're going to open up talking about Giffords. This will be fun because it's easy to make fun of those folks. And Ryan Petty, we got you. I was listening, during the break, and all I could hear in the background was, "Can you hear me, Greg? Can you hear me, Greg? Can we hear you, Ryan?"
I'm glad to be here, Mark, even when I mix up my headphones and my microphone.
That's okay. As long as you're not eating peanut butter and choking peanut butter on the air with us. I wouldn't mind if you had a Haagen-Dazs bar because I have some coconut bars I might have when I get done with the show today. So there we go. All right, guys. Brad, we're going to start with you because, well, you were the first one in and we made the first introduction for you. Gabby Giffords Gun Control Group, AWR Hawkins and I were talking about this. This is a group that has so much nothing in their bag of tricks now. Now think about this, guys, okay, as you hear this. Here's his headline: Giffords, National Reciprocity, a dangerous bill pushed by extremists. Now here's the deal, Brad. Is that all they got at this stage of the game? Is national reciprocity? Is that all they got to rag on right now with everything going on? That they're going to focus on national reciprocity? And then the way they said this, which I thought was quite fascinating, was they talk about how it will make concealed carry legal in all the other states, okay, in violation of their state laws. No, you still have to follow the law of the state that you're in, Brad. Why is this even an issue when you've got now? When will they give up on this? When 29 plus states the other 2 are working on it right now. Number 1, chiefly North Carolina, to hopefully override a veto at some point. But for crying out loud, 29, more than half the country's got constitutional carry, and this is all they can hang their hat on. Brad, it's pretty lame as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, I mean, what else? You're right. I mean, what else do they have to hang their hat on? I mean, they can try to scare people. They can call us names. But, the numbers don't lie. And the numbers show that the people, law-abiding citizens, being allowed to carry firearms doesn't harm anybody. It doesn't cause an increase in crime. It doesn't cause an increase in violence. I would argue that it actually helps prevent violence in crime, and it definitely gives would-be victims a fighting chance. And I don't see why they'd be against that. But, they have nothing else, so I guess they got to go after something to maintain some kind of relevance.
Well, that's it right there. You just nailed it. Justin, Brad just nailed it with that final statement. They don't have anything else. But when you look at every town for gun safety all over the Glock issue and claiming victory and now going after Ruger, who has never had a problem with a conversion of their gun ever. Cars can't be converted. You've made that clear, and I want you to do that again because I think it's a great point people need to hear. But this is all they've got at this stage of the game right now. Does that mean that they know they're becoming irrelevant, Justin? Hopefully, maybe, yeah.
Well, Mark, I think this is the wrong issue for them to pursue because, everybody's got a driver's license. And the driver's licenses are issued by state. Mine is Pennsylvania. But I drive all over the country, through Tennessee, New York, and all over the place, and yet my driver's license is recognized. It's only common sense that, gun carry license should have the same reciprocity. And Americans are common sense people, and they don't understand why it's not.
Well, let's frame it this way, Justin, and I'll get your response to this, and then I'll take this to Ryan and back to Brad, by the way, because this popped up just in my little old brain while you were talking. I'm not sure what their problem is when you consider the word reciprocity. It means they've already got concealed carry permit holders in their state. Why are they afraid of other concealed carry permit holders in their state when they've already got lawful concealed carry permit holders in their state? Does that make sense, Justin?
Yeah, nothing the Giffords do makes sense. We do need concealed carry reciprocity because we have too many, otherwise innocent people, getting harassed and being dragged through the judicial system because they simply made the mistake of carrying a firearm over state lines in a state which is unfriendly to concealed carry holders.
Yeah.
And this is the atrocity that needs to end, Mark.
You're absolutely correct. And let me go to you on this one, Ryan, because, again, that should be a checkmate question. So wait a minute. Let me understand, New Jersey. Now you're forced to give permits out to your own residents. Why are you worried about a resident in Pennsylvania that drives back and forth that also has a permit in Pennsylvania as a law-abiding citizen? What difference does that make?
Well, Mark, we can't trust those Northerners down here in the South.
Well, there might be a lot of truth. There might be a lot of truth to that. Sorry, Northerners. There could be some truth to that, but I get where you're going here. That's a whole nother show, by the way.
Yeah, look, it's a big game. We've done it for decades. Since cars have been around, you've been able to drive around to different states. I can fly to different states. My ID works in other states. Look, there's no reason not to do this. This is something. Look, I think the reason they're going after this one so hard is because if they lose on this one, they got nothing left. I mean, what else is there for these guys, right? If you got reciprocity with the state with what they consider looser gun laws, I mean, they're done. They're over.
Yeah, well, Brad,
game over.
It is game over. And to go to what Justin and Ryan just said, Brad, we'll let you take us to the music. But it does seem to be a checkmate question. I'm not sure what they're really worried about when their own state already has it. The word reciprocal, meaning, we already have permits, we'll recognize your permit as well. I'm not sure why that offends them so much, Brad. We have 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of these states that have a vestigial carry permit, I mean, they make the process so onerous and Byzantine to have a permit that there's very few permit holders, and they simply just don't trust their own people to carry it. So they're sure not going to trust me from Tennessee, who they probably regard as being stupid, dumber than them, or some kind of Yahoo crazy. So there's some snobbery there, I think.
Yeah, that's it right there. They don't trust anybody, even though they have permits as well themselves, and they're surrounded by guns. When we come back, we'll go to the goofball Democrats in Minneapolis, St. Paul, AM 1280. Patriot listeners, you're going to love this one. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back at you. About 20 seconds. For those of you who are new to the show, this is not a web show. This is not like iCarly. Okay, if you know anything about those shows, if you have kids, you probably do. This is a national radio broadcast, and we take network breaks 4 minutes at 17 to 21, after 30 to 34, and 44 to 48. We are FCC controlled, except during the breaks. So sometimes you can get a little salty, but not when you're on there.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show indeed. The Car Firearms Group studios lit up for you on a Sunday. I love it. It is 21 minutes after the hour. We're back at you here. Yeah, in front of the CZ microphone in the Car Firearms Group studios here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Patriot Mobile, it is the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And if you are watching, hopefully not driving, please, Patriot Mobile phone activated right here in my hands. You can do the same thing, patriotmobile.com/AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR. Had a great conversation with Stephen Zadie, one of the principals at Patriot Mobile, on Thursday's Daily Defense. If you want to hear it, they put their money where their mouth is, ladies and gentlemen. They wear it right on their sleeve like I got the Second Amendment tattooed on my arm. All right? They donate to the same place as you do, and they donate a lot more. And they, you know what? Every time you use one of their phones, a portion of what you pay for your cell phone, which we all have to have, goes to supporting our causes. So please visit them. These are great sponsors. All of our partners, you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com. Patriots Relief, by the way. In fact, I'll show it during the next break. I have a bottle of this stuff here in the studio, and I use it every single day. Sadly, every single day when I get up, I use it. But it works. And if it works for me, it's likely going to work for you as well. Talk about that more in the next break. Welcome back, guys. Okay, Brad, I think I closed out with you, so I'm going to head over to Justin on this one. And this is going to be kind of a two-pronged approach here, Justin. We're going to segue from what's going on in Minneapolis to that Connecticut case seeking cert at Supreme Court to get rid of Connecticut's assault weapons ban. These tie in. And guys, this is why this is so important. AWR has got the headline up, and I love this because it's so true. Justin, St. Paul, Minnesota bans assault weapons, in quotes, but city's mayor admits it cannot be enforced. So AM 1280, the Patriot listeners up in St. Paul and Minneapolis, this is what you face. They can't enforce it because you have strong preemption laws. They know they're in violation of state preemption laws, guys up there, okay? But they do it anyway. Now, Justin, when they admit they're doing it and it can't be banned, they're saying, well, it's a preliminary step. At some point, we want to get preemption gone, which is not going to happen. And in case we do, this law will already be on the books. That's a bunch of bunk, Justin, and we all know it. Isn't this just more proof that what Ryan Petty says every week on this show, and we'll make him say it when we come back, we don't even have to because he will, the left will never, ever, 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 ever stop, Justin, ever, no matter what.
You're right, Mark. They'll never stop. That's why, maybe on our side, we need to figure out a way to maybe sue them on a civil rights basis, like violation of rights or denial of rights, and find a way to make those politicians personally liable for depriving, hardworking Americans of their right to bear arms.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It is so wildly frustrating to see these politicians do exactly what they're doing up in your neck of the woods, AM 1280. And it's not just you in Minneapolis and St. Paul, guys. It's in every Democrat stronghold around the country. All right, this is new news up there now because they're flying right smack in the face, Ryan Petty, of what state preemption says they can't do. But they do it anyway, and as you famously say, and as Justin just reiterated, and I did, the left what, Ryan?
The left will never stop.
Isn't this evidence of that? And I agree with you, Justin, by the way, and Brad, I'm sure you do as well. But I would love to see these politicians held accountable for civil rights violations, that they cannot hide behind, Ryan, states' attorneys in their official capacity, but when they're sued as individuals and have to defend this themselves. And I would love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a little story. I think most of the listeners know I sit on the State Board of Education here in Florida. We had we brought a local school board member from one of the counties up to speak with us this week, and I presented evidence of her violating what's called the Sunshine Law. Mark, I think you know what the Sunshine Law is.
Yes.
That
Tell
basically
listeners,
says Florida officials, like I sit on the State Board of Education, I cannot have a private conversation about board business with another board member. In fact, we avoid talking to each other, even though I sit on the board with some really great people. I avoid talking to them at all, ever, so as to not violate this. I presented evidence of this board member violating the Sunshine Law. And on advice of counsel, she said she wouldn't answer my questions. But this is the kind of thing we're going to have to do. Justin's onto something. If a politician promotes a law or breaks a law deliberately, because like this preemption law, this mayor knew that it was unconstitutional, it wasn't lawful because it violates the state preemption law, then I think we should be able to bring them up on charges. In fact, I'd love to see this mayor arrested by the state, although that's not going to happen in
Perp walked, baby.
But perp walked for violating state law. I can tell you that my governor and my attorney general here in the state of Florida would love to perp walk a mayor that pulled this crap.
Yeah, that's Florida. Brad, let me take it over to you. You're right. In Florida, they would love to. And there is teeth in Florida law, by the way, as you well know, Ryan. This battle went back many, many years, back to West Palm Beach. Another one that comes to mind is Fort Myers, that they were violating the state's laws on illegally banning carry in parks and so forth. And Florida finally put some teeth in these laws and said, if you do this again, we can remove you from office. We can fine you up to $5,000. But I want to see criminal charges. Brad, I think my advice, and I would like you to give advice to listeners who are facing this. We'll focus on those of you that are listening on 1280 and around St. Paul and Minneapolis right now, because it's happening to you as we speak. This is real-time stuff right now. It's not an old story. This is fresh stuff. It's current event news from last week. But Brad, what's your advice? My advice is get on the phone, call the mayor's office, and tell them you want to see them brought up on charges. Remind them that they're violating state law, and let them know how you feel about it. That would be my suggestion. Do it professionally. Write them, call them as you would any other politician. But as Ryan said, and as he did to that other board member, you got to get up in there, man. You got to get up in their face. Yo, there's a baby up on board on here. Okay, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the rights that we talk about our rights. That's one of the main ones we have is to voice our opinions and grievances at government officials. They need to know exactly what you think of them and how you feel about what they're doing. And you're right, be professional and be polite for as long as you can. But
there's the disclaimer. I love it.
Right, and they need to understand that, that they aren't, they are elected by us and they work for us, and our rights supersede anything that they want to do, and that we'll fiercely defend those rights. And we start off with words, right? And that's where it starts. But then you understand that we're taking a nice route at that point. But there's no excuse for violating people's rights. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, you're right. It's a perfect place to stop. Guys, I just want to stay on this for just a moment about, you're talking about Democrats here, ladies and gentlemen. The reality is, do they listen to you when they get all these emails? It has to be overwhelming. It has to be overwhelming. Don't just write the politician himself. Go to the governor. Write the governor. Remind the governor. Now, we all know who your governor is. But that's why you got to get up in there. That's why you got to get up in their faces. You have to do it. It's that simple. Don't rely on others. And I'm going to go to a subject that might seem off topic here, but it's really not, because McConnell did it by forcing a hemp ban in the appropriations bill. When we come back, we'll talk about that. It ties in. We'll be right back. It's just a great example. We'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, guys, I said I was going to show you this stuff. Let me do that right now and bring that larger camera up for you. Sorry, sometimes I forget to bring that larger that larger camera up. It's not set on automatic yet because, well, I don't think it can be, but let me go over here and put the preview up. Anyway, I was telling you about the Patriots relief stuff, guys. This is the relief and recovery that I use. And it's absolutely dynamite, okay? The stuff works. It's just kind of real simple, you know? You got a little bit of, I get some of it on my shirt there, but you get a little bit of tendonitis or something like that, man, just rub it in there. Oh, these things work, folks. They work. It goes away within 60 seconds. I use it, unfortunately, like I said before, on my shoulders. And, you know, you get a little bit older, and I know. I don't look my age. I know. You can tell me that. I can hear you saying that right now. I'm not going to tell you my age, but as I get a little bit older, this stuff has been a godsend to me. And you can go over to patriotsrelief.com, and check them out and pick up some of these amazing products over there. Some of which, under this hemp bill, might be banned because of CBD and stuff in it, but the stuff has worked wonders for me. And if it works for me, it'll likely work for you. But give it a shot. Use the AAR promo code over there and save a nice little chunk of change and take advantage of some of these great partners that we have, and they are one of them. These products are wonderful. They've worked wonders for me. So check that out. There's your public service announcement. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away. We are on the downside now of the hour. It flies right by. As I said, buckle in. We'll be right back, guys. Thanks for being here.
Walker letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Now, back to Mark Walters. We love Sebastian Gorka. He's wonderful. Hopefully I'll see him at SHOT Show again. I see him every year. He's such a great guy. We'll get a good picture with him, and always do. He's a big fan of the show, and I know somebody was just talking with him recently. One of our fans went up to him and saw him somewhere at an event and chatted with him about the show. And he's such a huge fan, and we appreciate that rejoin that we've been running for quite some time. Welcome back, guys, to the Car Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. And on the Monster Cast, on this program, on hundreds of stations, we're in front of the CZ microphone at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And, of course, it's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Brad, who did I end up with? Brad, did I end with you? I think I ended with you. Let me go over to Justin real fast. Justin, arguably this has nothing to do with guns, but it does in the sense of this is how the way government operates. You know, do these people even listen to us? You know, we talked to a bunch of the folks over at Women for Gun Rights, okay? Amanda's a good friend of ours. We've spoken at events together, yourself included. Very, very active. They go to D.C. They sit in these politicians' offices. They talk very polite. They try to get their message across, and you know damn good and well they're not paying any attention. They don't care. Mitch McConnell just rammed the hemp bill to ban hemp through the bill to reopen the government in the dead of night, which is going to impact hundreds of thousands of Americans' jobs, billions of dollars in revenue. And if you were watching during the break, I held up one of those products that is now on the line. We've got 12 months to stop them. And the reason I'm going here is because what we were talking about with Minnesota, we have got to get up in there. We have got to get up in their faces. And this is how we do it, and this is how we make changes. Now, that's a Republican who didn't listen to anybody and did it anyway. So you got to wonder who's paying him. Oh, I bet I know who's paying him. Greg seems to think it's big alcohol. No, maybe. I think it's big pharma that's paying him. Hey, man, ban this stuff. You know, they're cutting into our profits. All right? I get the business aspect of it. But, Justin, the bigger picture here is when you compare these things, what do we do, man? So many of us feel so helpless, and you and I know this personally from the gun front. When the Democrats are in office, and you know they're controlling all levers of power, look at what's going on in Virginia right now. What's getting ready to happen over the next 4 years can be a nightmare. They're going to be California on the East Coast with the new laws that they're passing. Everything that Youngkin vetoed, they're going to pass. And they're going to sign, Spanberger's going to sign into law. How do we get up in there, Justin, and do it professionally and actually make an impact? It's got to be overwhelming numbers, does it not?
Well, Mark, you know, the other side definitely has the fixing elections advantage, and they certainly get at least, 5 to 10 point advantage on many elections throughout the country. And so that's a handicap to start with. And we only got our man into office, into the office of presidency, because we had an overwhelming, turnout. But I don't know. Recently, our side's been having a civil war in our own party, so this is going to hurt. It hurt in this, this last election on November 4th, and the midterms coming up. It's going to be a big challenge with a divided party.
How do you, since you mentioned that, before I go to Ryan, let's go there. It's a good segue as well. With the midterms coming up, with what you just saw in Virginia, nothing that I saw shocked me, other than I will say this about Virginia. I didn't expect to see 13 House delegate seats flip in Virginia. I did not expect that. And I paid, fairly close attention, maybe more so than the average Joe or the average bear, boo-boo. There, I just dated myself, guys. All right? But I didn't expect that. But nothing else shocked me. Democrats won in blue areas, and they turned out the vote because of TDS, Justin. That was to be expected. But what is that indicative of in the midterms coming up? What's your advice?
Well, the Trump's advantage is his turnout, especially among, people who are in the middle. But right now, with everything which is going on with our inter-party war, a lot of the middle is being sitting out on the sideline, and that's the big danger. If they sit out and they don't come out and vote for the Republican Party, if the Trump voter doesn't come out, it could be pretty bad.
Yeah, it could be a mess. It could be a mess for the remainder of Trump's term. Obviously, that's in their game plan, Ryan Petty. You know that more than anybody else. But before I go to you on that prediction, I have to ask you, when you called out on the school board, you were there in the meeting with this individual present. You called that person out in the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, I love you. You got up in there, man. I love that. Her response was what? I'm just curious.
Well, she brought her attorney with her.
Okay,
and
you did
she turned
mention
around
that.
and looked at her back to me and said, yeah, on advice of counsel, I declined to answer.
Am I right in guessing the fact that she had an attorney with her, she knew?
Yeah, probably the smartest phrase that came out of her mouth the entire time we were discussing, we were talking to her, was, on the advice of counsel, I declined to answer.
Yeah, well, she should have gone far enough and made it really smart and said, I'm resigning, but that's not likely going to happen. So take off on what Justin just said about midterms coming up based on the heels of what just happened in Virginia and everything that we've been talking about. And how, using the hemp thing, I think is a good example. You've got Mitch McConnell, turncoat. And by the way, Mitch, let me hold this up where is it? I think I moved it over on the other side already. I was going to hold the product back up, but here's the deal, Mitch, you might want to start using some of this too. It might keep you from falling down. So there, I said it. Ryan, why do they do it? And you know damn good and well that he's not listening. It's just more proof positive. These people have got to go. We've got to get rid of them. And I'm talking about Mitch McConnell, who the last best thing I can remember he did was keeping Merrick Garland off the court. Since then, I don't really have a clue.
Yeah, he's he did a great job in getting the Supreme Court, getting the right justices on the Supreme Court. So we've got a backstop for all the nonsense the progressives want to do. But yeah, we need fighters in Congress. We need folks that are willing to stand up. And I mean, we just went through this shutdown. I was half expecting the Republicans to cave at some point. It looks like they stood firm on this. And quite frankly, when you look at it, the Democrats got nothing out of this shutdown other than they enraged the voters in Northern Virginia to the point where they secured, a victory for Democrats in the Virginia legislature and, of course, the governor's mansion. And that, to me, seems like that's exactly what the government shutdown was for. It was really about winning this election in Northern Virginia, because let's be honest with you, they were going to win New Jersey. That wasn't a surprise.
Not a surprise,
to be honest. And they're out claiming this blue wave and all the other stuff that they're nonsense. These places were going to vote Democrat. Every government worker that was out of a job or was not getting paid was absolutely enraged. Chuck Schumer played the game to win these elections, hoping to save his skin. But quite frankly,
he's done.
There's a big battle going on in the Democrat Party, and it's far greater than anything going on the Republican side between those that support Trump and those that don't. This is actually, I think this is an extinction level event for the Democrats.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Brad, when we come back from the break, I'm going to take it over to you, but I think you're spot on with that. I think that's a great assessment. It truly is. We've got dueling, competing civil wars going on in the parties. I think the Democrats is far worse because they have no leader. We can point to a leader in our party. We know who the bums are. We know who needs to go. The Democrats don't know what they're doing. And Brad, when we come back, we'll go to you with all of this. But I have a feeling I know how you're going to respond. No question about it. But let's cover that with you with Virginia before we go to a couple happy ending stories. And I do want to go to you, and we might not even get to the happy ending stories. Let me just close with this because I want to talk about the Connecticut assault weapons ban case and get y'all's opinion on this, because it matters so much, and the fact it's in Connecticut is also a beautiful thing as well. When we come back, we go right over to Brad Premo, get his take on a few things, and then we'll talk about that Connecticut assault weapons ban case, which has been a big topic of conversation tonight, both with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets in the entire second hour, and with Alan Gottlieb in the first hour of the program. We'll give you a recap and turn it over to the crew. We'll be right back. Don't go away. My mic is live. Guys, I'm going to regret this, but drinking an iced coffee at 10:43 p.m. on the East Coast is probably not the smartest move, Greg, in Dallas, Texas. Unless it's not coffee. Be right back with you guys. And camera's up. Guys, welcome back. It's not iced coffee, guys. It's my famous apple juice. If I'd be drinking iced coffee right now, you see me on Cam and Company tomorrow with wide eyes in the morning.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Attorneys on Retainer. Here's the card. You know it. You hear me talk about it at least once an hour. Attorneysonretainer.us. Have a dream team in your pocket. It's that simple. Speaking of dream teams, this just popped in my head. OJ's estate just agreed to pay $58 million to the family, which shocked me. I saw that news today. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what made that happen, and I'm not really sure what brought that up, but nonetheless, attorneys, I was the dream team, because I keep mentioning the dream team here. When I think about that, I think of O.J. Simpson and all his attorneys and the dream team, they called it. You too can have a dream team, guys, for $35 a month. Not 35 times 4, $35. I trust them with my kids, all right? My 21-year-old, my 23-year-old, and my wife. We all have this card in our pocket, attorneysonretainer.us. Any trouble visits you and you have to defend yourself, Attorneys on Retainer is your attorney immediately. One phone call. I need my lawyer. Boom, done. That's it. You don't have to find one. You already have one. Make sure to use the promo code over there. Save $50 on the sign-up. It's $35. If you bring your family in like I did, you'll save $50 on each of the sign-ups over there, and it's only $25 a month. Make sure to support them and all of our great partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com, and pick up some of this Patriots relief stuff, this relief recovery stuff, guys. It is the real deal. It works. Mitch McConnell should follow that, but he's a turncoat loser. At least he's on his way out. Brad Premo, I'm just going to turn it over to you. You heard the previous conversation. Take it away, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement that the Democrats, they've got some big problems on their hands, and the Republicans, they just can't seem to get out of their own way sometimes. And it is because we still have dinosaurs like Mitch McConnell still roaming the halls of Congress. I'm very displeased about what he did with the hemp thing. I actually in agreement with Greg in his theory that it's actually big alcohol being from Kentucky.
I don't fault that. It's a combination of that and pharma, no doubt about it.
Yep, the bourbon industry has a lot of sway up there, and also, I mean, I've seen it even here in Tennessee, where the alcohol distributors are trying to take control of the hemp trade in Tennessee. I'm sure they're doing it in other places as well, because that's just what they do. It's dirty business.
Mm-hmm. Well, so true.
Getting rid of him is great. We got to get rid of other rhinos. I mean, but at the same time, we have to do our part and get out and vote. The president's going to go. He said he's going to be out barnstorming, this election cycle for the Republicans, and that'll probably help. I know that through redistricting, we're going to probably pick up some seats. I'm not super concerned about losing the House this time around. There's some things that are going on that I think we actually may have to capture the House for a generation.
I hope you're right.
Democrats out. Well, if we get rid of the Voter Rights Act, like some people think we're going to, that'll pretty much turn the Southeast into essentially like the Northeast is for Democrats. The Southeast will be that for Republicans. And we'll take the House for a generation. The way the Democrats had the House from like the 40s all the way to the 90s. We'll do the same. But I have kind of come around and thinking that maybe we do need to go ahead and end the filibuster as well, because that mechanism is, one, it's not in the Constitution. And two, it's an excuse for our senators to not really do anything, right? I mean, how many times has something been passed by the House, which is they represent the people? It goes to the Senate, and the Senate just throw their hands up and say, well, we can't. This doesn't really matter because we can't get 60 votes anyway. It's going to be filibuster anyway, so they don't even touch it. And meanwhile, they're up there getting rich, and then when it comes time to do something, they're doing stuff like what Mitch McConnell does, and they screw us over. So, I see that maybe getting that filibuster, enacting all of Trump's executive orders is federal law, and start setting roadblocks to what we know the Democrats want to do.
Yeah.
We can get rid of vote by mail. We can require citizenship to be a proof of citizenship to vote. We can, make it extremely difficult to admit new states. We can lock the Supreme Court in at 9 justices. We can do all these things and foil their plans in advance. but it's just going to take someone going, hey, you know what, we're going to do things differently, and having a little bit of intestinal fortitude to move forward with somewhat controversial moves. But you know what, the Democrats will do it. They've told us.
That's that. You're on it. That's it right there. Now, I'm not one that would normally say get rid of the filibuster, okay? And there was a time back in my life, maybe a galaxy away, that I would have said, no, we got to take the high road. No, that's BS at this point, because we know the first thing the Democrats are going to do if they take control of the Senate, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. They're going to nuke it. And we might as well just get out there and do it. That's my thought now. I still want to put a little bit more thought into that. But the days of saying, now we got to take the high road, no. Because the Democrats play dirty, nasty, despicable pool, and it's time the Republicans start doing the same thing. Take advantage of it while they got it, and fix things while we can do it, while we still have the opportunity to do it. That puts a stake right through their political heart instantly, even if they take power. I couldn't agree with you more on that, because you're right, they're going to do it. Guys, let me shift gears with the last couple minutes and move Justin over to you. The Connecticut assault weapons ban case, we're seeking cert right now at the Supreme Court. This is the cleanest cert petition I've ever seen. I was speaking about it with Jared Yanis for the full hour. Gottlieb made it very clear. This is a good case, no question about it. We still are, a little bit wounded from what we saw with the Fourth Circuit case down in Maryland that didn't get taken. But his position, Justin, is if the Supreme Court takes the case, or even the Cook County case, or any assault weapons ban case, we're going to win it. Otherwise, they would just leave it alone and let the lower court decision stand. Would you agree with that? And how good do you feel about winning an assault weapons ban case? And I hate to use that term, but I am, once it gets to the court.
Well, Connecticut would be especially sweet for me, because I think they had banned the Tommy gun on the quote-unquote assault.
That is, it's on the list. You're right. It is. Yes, it is. Your gun is on that list.
It would be nice to get that overturned and get Tommy's back into, Patriots' hands in Connecticut.
I love mine, brother. I got to tell you, that is my prized gun in my possession, is that Tommy gun. There's nothing else like it. It was a family heirloom the moment it showed up. I wish I had time to tell the story how I acquired it, because it's hilarious, but I don't. I wish I did. Justin, maybe we'll touch on that next week, because you brought up a great point. Ryan, let's go over to you on this. This case has a very, very real possibility of being taken, as we talked about in the previous 2 hours. Do you agree with Alan's assessment that if the court takes, whether it's the Connecticut or any case, that we're going to win it, or they would have just left it stand and let the lower court ruling stand?
Listen, I'm not one to second guess Alan Gottlieb. Let me tell you, he's got a lot more experience in this area than I do. And the one thing, Mark, and you know this as well as anyone, the one thing the Second Amendment Foundation does so well are they pick the cases that they know they can win.
Yes.
These are the cases they know they can either split circuits and force the Supreme Court to take these up. So now, look, Alan has absolutely a mastermind with regards to this. If he believes he's going to win it, I'd say that's good. Your money would be well spent betting with Alan, not against him.
Yeah, and Brad, real quick, we'll let you close us out to the music. This is an SAF and Connecticut Citizens Defense League case. How do you feel about it, real quick?
I feel pretty good about it, and I'm just going to comment. One thing I love about assault weapons bans is they always talk about how weapons of war don't belong on our streets, and you can go buy an M1 Garand from the government, which is most definitely a weapon of war, and they never include it because they don't actually care about that. They just want to take things away from people that are on our side that follow the law. So,
yeah, by the way,
it works. I think it will.
Another weapon of war for well over 100 years, the 1911. I have one sitting right here, by the way.
Two World War champs.
There you go. The 2 World War champs. There you go. Brad, Justin, Ryan, thank you guys, man. Love you. You are all fan favorites for a reason. You make the round table so good every week with your insight, your wisdom, and your wit. Thanks to each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, precisely because they don't want us to. Please support all of our partners. Love you. See you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate it very much. In case anybody wants to know, and I'm not on their payroll, that's Mott's Apple Juice. Got to love that. I love my apple juice, Greg. You know that? He's busy right now getting rid of everybody on the phones and talking to him because that's what he does, because we're all really good friends. Hey, guys, thanks for being here. Seriously, I appreciate it very much. Hundreds of you watching on X and on the other social media platforms. Thank you so much. Please follow us at Twitter at AARMark. Go over and like us at Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Subscribe to us at YouTube, Armed American Radio, Rumble, Armed American Radio. And like I said, we're going to get up and do this again tomorrow because they don't want us to. I really hope you enjoyed the program today. It was a great one. It flew by. That always means it's a good show. I'll have the podcast up for you, however long it takes for that stuff to download, generally within the hour. It'll be up this evening. Now you can go watch Landman. Have at it, guys. I love you. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific. Stay safe out there.